This is a Stronghold Digital Mining Daily Update. Today is Tuesday, June 13th, 2023. So let's go right into the heart of our dashboard data. Let's go ahead and pull up the slide. All right, so over the past 24 hours, PJM Penelec has averaged at around $22.57. So that's up from yesterday. PJM PP&L has been up as well incrementally to about $20.77 on average. BTCMW has also been up to $71.31. And finally, here's where it gets a bit interesting. Bitcoin spot pricing over the past 24 hours, that has also been up to 25,976. However, the network hash rate has come down a little bit. So as a result, BTCMW has actually gone up. So that's really the win-win situation. Back to me, by the way. You know, whenever you have a deal where, hey, the price of Bitcoin's going up and the network hash rate is coming down, that typically results in Bitcoin priced in dollars per megawatt hour being more advantageous for us here at Stronghold, right? Digital mining. So I wanted to point something out. I get into more detail in the most recent episode of O&M, but I wanted to just share a little piece of this right here because you may find it interesting. Based on Q1 2023 core operational expenses, and by that I mean fuel, operations and maintenance, and general and administrative, those three items, okay? Fuel was about 7.5 million. O&M was roughly 8.5 million. I think G&A was roughly around 8.5. Again, these aren't precise numbers. To keep the math simple, let's just call it $24 million in total. When you divide 24 million by 90 days, you get I'm rounding up a little bit, $267,000 per day. So we have core operational expenses based on Q1 2023 data of about $267,000 per day. When you divide $267,000 by 24 hours in a day, it comes out to $11,125. So when we look at the dashboard, okay, and we see the Stronghold Digital Mining total revenue estimate, and we maybe see that number at $9,800, or maybe it's $10,700, or maybe it's actually like $14,200. The sort of the number we're looking to beat, at least based on the data that I just shared with you, right, would be about $11,125. I'm going to be doing a deep dive into some of the metrics that, or some of the variables really that the dashboard relies upon to produce our estimated hourly revenue. One number in particular that I really want to study very carefully is our average miner efficiency. That number, right, the more efficient the fleet, again, that number is going to have an impact on what our estimated hourly revenue has the potential to be. So that's one number I'm going to look very, very closely at. Another number that isn't directly in the dashboard, but that is relevant, is kind of this question of, hey, is it even remotely feasible that we're able to push our core operational expenses even lower without sacrificing safety or sacrificing, you know what I mean, sort of the health and wellness of the power plants and the data centers. The last thing we want, right, is to cut a bunch of corners in an effort to bring down costs, only to have that sort of like boomerang and result in all types of unplanned downtime and other issues that result from, inadequate day-to-day maintenance of our assets, right? So there's a very delicate balance to be had there. So those are some things I'm going to really be digging into because, again, this is kind of relevant to how we're doing financially, right? This is kind of like a big deal. Remember, we do have control over our costs to an extent, right? I mean, there's only so much you can lower costs sometimes. The variables that are really important and that can have a tremendous impact on our our viability and our operations are these input variables of grid prices and Bitcoin prices, right? Like sort of like the BTCMW number. So remember, we can toggle between selling electricity to the grid, which lately has not been a viable option, except for maybe some very specific moments during the day where grid pricing might surge. We're able to quickly divert electricity right from the data center to the grid. Alternatively, we can produce electricity ourselves and use it to mine Bitcoin. So it's challenging when both of those input variables, right? Grid prices on the one hand, and sort of like the overall Bitcoin mining economics, when both of those things are not optimal, we struggle. And it's not just us, by the way. This is like practically all publicly traded Bitcoin mining companies. Don't be fooled, okay? It's not somehow like we're disadvantaged when Bitcoin is low and other companies somehow are profiting wildly, the lower Bitcoin goes or anything like that. We all, as an ecosystem, we all generally benefit when Bitcoin mining economics are more favorable. So we're going to stay positive. We're going to be great. We're going to see each other tomorrow. And as I said, I'm going to be doing some homework, and I'm hoping to release tomorrow more details about the impact that the shutdown of the Homer City power plant, which is within the PJM Penelec zone of the grid. I've been doing a lot of research. I'm hoping to release some useful information that could be relevant, very relevant actually, to scrubgrass and what might happen this summer when it's time to potentially sell power to the grid if we don't have Homer City online anymore to help support the grid. So I will see you tomorrow. And until then, as always, again, as I said before, let's stay positive and let's be great. See you then.